is a book review of The Avengers Volume 1. Would be nice if it was Avengers number 1, of course, from Taschen Books, 1963 to 1965. And it's a sort of quick opening of the box. And I'm really quite surprised. I must admit, my Spider-Man did not come in a nice box like this. So it's really nice to see them supply it in this lovely... I think I might keep this one. It's not too bad. In fact, I love the back cover as well. One of my favourite pop art. I always love pop art. So, yes, I'm just going to go through this. Taschen Books, 630 pages, just come out. So let's just see what's inside. Now, before I do any more, I'm going to show you the Epic collection, as well as, of course, the original comics. And you can see, obviously, the original, there's the Epic. And that's, of course, the same size as the original comics. So you can see it's a bit bigger. Probably a lot bigger. Now, of course, this has got all the standard recoloured artwork, which some people like, I'm certain. Some people definitely do not like. So this one is actually done from the original comics. So, and I've got some original comics here. I've got the Avengers there, number 14. I've got Avengers number 12. And they're just great. Of course, very tatty editions. But, you know, they didn't scan the Taschen Books from these, I'm quite certain. Because they're not great. Though I was over the moon to get this one. Picked this up for next to nothing. I was really surprised. Issue 8. Love it. Absolutely one of my all-time favourites. Good old Kang. And also this. I think it's a couple of quid. Avengers 3. Very, very tatty. I picked up at a fairly recent Comic Mart. So it's obviously got a few rips in it. But still, absolutely brilliant. And one of my all-time favourites. 15 as well. Though number 16 is one of my all-time favourites. Unfortunately, I haven't got that one. But I have got number 18 and number 19, which of course makes you wonder, why did I buy this massive big volume? Well, pretty crazy, I know. But let's have a look at it. I'm just going to quickly open it up. So now let's see how to actually open it up without wrecking it completely. And as always, when you open these things, it's actually quite hard to, open that, and eventually without ripping it, there's no tears, so you can see the box. It's really nicely put in there, and you can obviously see it's nicely. And again, obviously, I'm going to stop the video and open the actual book, but you can see it's obviously nicely wrapped inside as well. So there's the actual Avengers volume, and let's just quickly go and look at the contents. Now, of course, the stories I've read 1,000 times, but I have no idea what's actually going to be in the book itself. I mean, weighs a ton. I mean, obviously it's a hefty tome. Looks very nice. Doesn't look like there's any particular damage. And, oh, actually that looks a lot better looking at that. Because the Spider-Man one really had some really bad issues with glue. I could really see that right away. So this one hopefully is going to be a bit better. Now, I've opened it. Took a bit of time to open. And what I'm going to do, just quickly show you. You can see the size. There's the actual, obviously, original, and it's a lot larger, But of course, I love these ones, original ones. I've got 7 of the originals. Unfortunately, not issue 1. I did have issue 2. That was the closest I ever got. Fortunately, I sold it years ago. Regret getting rid of it. So let's just now go through this one. And I'm just going to stick it up here and hold it. It's got a really lovely smooth cover. I mean, just absolutely glorious. Really, really beautiful. And again, like I say, you can see there, looks a lot nicer the way it's done. I'm just going to open it up, and then I will get back and go through the actual book. It's a lot heavier than an omnibus edition, of course. So you see him at times suddenly falling down, thinking, oh, can't hold this any longer. Now, it's got this. I don't know why they include this. Most odd. Few personally wasted pages, I think. It could have actually put a lot more bonus material. I would love a lot more inked, sort of illustrated pages. Would be much nicer. Pencil sketches, etc. It's got here, of course, this sort of thing. I mean, brilliant. But I would have loved to see more of that. It's got a really nice introduction by Kurt Busiek. But this is a bit odd. Why include like the Thor versus the Executioner, not the Executioner? Seems odd, because a lot of this material is included in various other omnibus editions for Thor, Iron Man, etc. But it sort of includes this, of course, Captain America and Iron Man. But you've got some lovely Avengers number 2. And also it's got, of course, Avengers, the various things that were earlier there. So Avengers feature, obviously, at the end of number 2. And then you've got this, Lava Man, and also Radioactive Man, etc. I think that was number 6. So you've got number 6, as well as the Avengers Breakup. And you've also got the Avengers, of course, versus Fantastic Four. Classic issue, that one. And quite a few other ones as well. So a lot of bonus material, but some actually wasted opportunities. I'm certain there's a lot more material in terms of bonus material they could have included, because they've included things like this. Why? Why include the X-Men? Sort of, it's just weird, other than obviously Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's first appearance. But again, they've got this as well, which is very nice. I mean, nothing wrong with it. A massive... but why, at least this time, of course, you've got Kang there and you've got the Avengers there. It's not sort of split with the gutter. But you've got this again. Why? Why include so much sort of wasted space, as far as I'm concerned? This includes Avengers 1 to 20, and every one of them have the original cover. Obviously, absolutely lovely, lovely, glossy, really full, massively, and also very, very nice and sharp. Now, I'm looking at the covers, and I'm just going to go now to number 3, because I've got number 3. I'm just going a few minutes. Let's just show a few bits here. You see the real quality of the art. There's Thor, of course, going to battle with Loki. And the next, this includes a lot of ads as well. But however, one thing that's really quite noticeable, and I hadn't really thought about it, the Spider-Man one, I've got very few original comics of Spider-Man, certainly the ones that were included in this last volume. But it doesn't include every ad. It just includes the end pages, but it doesn't include the ones in the set. I mean, why? Why did they leave those out? But it does include these sort of things. Whenever it includes this, it includes it. But it doesn't include like the various coins and things, adverts for X, Y, Z, which is a pity. Just seems that why not include the entire comic? Why leave pages out? Makes no sense to me. But it does include some. That's what I mean. It includes some adverts, but not all of them. And it would have given it more period sort of authenticity, I think, having the adverts as well. Just seems odd to not include them. Space Phantom there. And of course, he's just come and the Hulk gets the first one, and then Giant Man, etc. It's quite an interesting story. I really always enjoyed it. And actually, I had that issue. Regrettably, I got rid of it, as mentioned. There's Spider-Man, number 7, that obviously was out at the time. The Vulture. This time, the Vulture returns. I love that one. He's looking for people who like to draw. I love that advert. Always love that one. However, this one I have got. So I'm just going to go through it in a few seconds. But I'm just going to show you this. And you can see the cover there. Now, the cover, personally, well, I think it looks about the same. Must admit, you know, it's fairly similar. Slightly bright. But, of course, my copy's an old copy, tatty copy. Of course, this was an old tatty copy, not tatty copy, but certainly a copy that was probably better looked after than mine. But you can see the colours there, and you can see the colours. Now, maybe that is actually what, of course, after a while, the covers sort of change. So I'm just going to close it now and just show the original. And here's my copy, and it's fallen to pieces. So you can see there, it's obviously over the years, I suppose it's got brown, but I don't know, the colours are really, well, maybe again, maybe it's perfectly reasonable, but the colours seem to be slightly different. They're a bit brighter, just slightly brighter in the book than here. So you can see there, Avengers, but it's just a minor thing looking at it. I thought, you know what? I mean, the red's there, the red is definitely gone, but it's properly aged, maybe not being looked after, maybe it's just deteriorated, I don't know. Maybe it should be properly like it is in this book. Obviously, it's been looked after, because you can see, look, the reds. There's the reds. A lot more intense than the red in my comic. But again, maybe that's just time that's done that. Now, you've got this, well, I love that. I love the fact they would have crossovers with all various. You've got Spidey there, of course. Spidey looking very odd, very odd. I always thought that was an odd-looking Spidey. Didn't half-drawn Spidey there. And also, of course, the X-Men coming into the comic as well. And then it's obviously Iron Man in his, well, very early style Iron Man. But you can see the colours definitely are. It's slightly, it's still great issue. And of course the classic Avengers 4. Brilliant. Captain America lives again. Absolutely amazing issue. Lava Man. There's that story there. Again, when they go and look for the Hulk. And let's go a bit further into the book. Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, this is obviously the original. And you can see it again. Yes, I suspect the reds there are about the same. So you can just see there It's not that different. This is obviously a slightly better quality comic than the one I've got for number 3. But yeah, so maybe I'm being a bit unfair in terms of the colour. But I just think the only times that really this sort of suffers this is these sort of covers. And there's one or two, and these are great though. I love seeing those covers. I'm not saying I don't, but it's just occasionally, oh yeah, there they are. These sort of things. You've got all the covers, the Marvel Masterworks. They look a bit poor quality. They're not as sharp, and they're quite smart. You can really see the dots, far worse than in obviously the actual comic. Maybe they just spend more time sort of tidying up and cleaning it up a bit. But it's still, I mean, that was an odd issue. I must admit, that was the one with the wasp, and yeah, very odd. But again, you got here, I love, of course, it's got all these as well. Of course, the less page. And I love these. I wish they'd bring out a book of those, the checklists. I love the Mighty Marvel checklist. You got here Fantastic Four 38, Spider-Man 24, Daredevil 7, classic issue, of course, Submariner, Thor 115, Absorbing Man, brilliant one as well. Strange Tales, doesn't actually, weirdly, Strange Tales doesn't actually say a number. They obviously forgot to put that. Suspense 65, Astonish 67. So they didn't even call it Tales to Astonish, they just called it Astonish. And then Sergeant Fury at the bottom there. One of my favourites. I love this one. Now, it's not everyone's favourite period of the Avengers. Obviously, a lot of people like the earlier Avengers, but I really like Quicksilver, Wanda, and Hawkeye and Captain America, as well as Rick Jones, I suppose. But you've got the obviously story there, the transfer over. I always thought that they killed off Zemo way too quick in the storyline. I just thought, what? You had a reasonable, decent villain. I suppose, perhaps because of the Red Skull, they didn't want to sort of like had Zemo and the Red Skull, but it's just always surprised me they killed him off. But Quicksilver, obviously you've got Iron Man there and Captain America coming back. It was just great seeing sort of Quicksilver whizzing around the car and all those sort of things. Also got black and white ones here, which is odd. Most of them are always in colour. For some weird reason, these ones are in black and white. I wonder why they did that. Maybe it stands out more on that sort of blue. I don't know. Then you've got other ones. They are black and white ones there as well, which is very odd. Giant Man and Hulk, obviously Tales to Astonish. That near enough must have been near enough the last one. Yeah, number 68, near 69, obviously, when Submariner kicked in at number 70. You got Thor against Minotaur. And again, they've all got that lovely, beautiful, I love that, really nice quality cover there. And you got more, and of course, more letters pages, as well as more brilliant artwork. Now, I think these are just classic stories. Absolutely love these ones. Now, this one I think is Doctor Doom. I think. Oh no, that was number 17. That's number 19. Doctor Doom was a bit later, wasn't he? So you got Swordsman there, and it comes up to the end, number 20. You got Hydra as well. Turns up there as well. Completely forgot about Hydra was in that. Of course, that's how all the stories started in the first place, with Hydra. Very contrived thing. However, again, you've got some more of these lovely covers. And actually they work, I think they're quite nice, but occasionally you see they're a bit more smudgy, I think, personally. But the quality inside of the pages of these, I think very, 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 very nice. Very, high quality. Especially since they've sized it up a bit, scaled it up, and I think it's still absolutely fine. Now, at the end, it just suddenly ends. Like I say, there's no bonus material at the end, which is really odd. But you've got here the storyline credits, which is of course quite nice. You've got all the various details. You've got the 12 cents, pages 36, the invasion of the Lava Man, and also pencils, colours. And I always love the fact they include that, colours, because quite often you get books where it just does not mention who did the colours. And colours are quite significant. They're very important part of the book. And yet most of the time they're never mentioned. And it does say at least Stan Goldberg, colours. That's good to finally see that. No, I knew it was Stan Goldberg anyway, but I don't know if he did all of them. Did he do every single one? But however, looks like it here. You've got Wally Wood, obviously number 20. But I love this inclusion here. We've got a lovely fanzine one. Should Spider-Man join the Avengers? Well, I think he should have done, actually, in many ways. I mean, obviously, occasionally they did sort of attempt to have Spidey into the Avengers. And obviously, got finished off. The old order changes. And that's real nice, and it's got biographies at the end. And this is lovely. And again, just quickly show you there, so you see no damage opening up and haven't bashed it too much by showing this. Because it is actually quite an awkward one. If I wanted to do it, obviously I should have done it, of course, with the camera looking down. I haven't got one. So I haven't got a camera looking down, so it makes it awkward. That's why I have to hold it. But I don't think I've damaged it in any particular way doing that, which shows a good quality book. And this is a very lovely quality book. I've always loved the Avengers stories, which is the reason why even though I have got 7 of them here, as well as the Epic, I haven't got the Omnibus, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself to this because, wow, what a great book. Whether I get the Fantastic Four one, I think Fantastic Four one is coming out at some point. Perhaps not, because I might think about it. It's one of those things that just maybe is going a bit too... And I certainly probably will not be going for Volume 2. This obviously, you can see Volume 1. So Volume 2 would take up stories, obviously, 21 to 40, which was fine. I mean, but I've got virtually all of those ones. So I'm not certain that I would buy a lovely book as much as this is very nice. But of course, if you haven't got all those issues and you're not particularly keen on the omnibus ones, you may really, really love this sort of format because it does show the stories as they were, even though slightly, I think the colours are, but maybe that is purely because it's very high quality issues. So that's the thing. Anyway, do I love this? Yes, it is absolutely spectacular. If you want to get a really brilliant one, and also I would suggest, of course, the Spider-Man as well. The Spider-Man volume, absolutely brilliant as well. Well, probably more so in many ways because, of course, it's got brilliant Ditko work. Although not everyone's favourite artist, Don Heck. There's a lot of Jack Kirby as well, of course, but the Don Heck, not always super popular. I like Don Heck. I must admit, I've always enjoyed a lot of these Avengers with Don Heck. I never really thought about it, to be honest, when I was growing up. But I think this is lovely. So totally recommended book. 630 pages from Taschen. Now, it's not the cheapest of books, I have to say, but hopefully you can find copies reasonably priced. This one I actually got reasonably lower than the price that was on a certain other website. Totally recommended.